This is the all-new Volkswagen Passat, and it really is all new. Heck, it's the second MQB platform-based Volkswagen in India after the Tiguan. And we've had two generations of this car in India before, but both of them were in and out of public memory pretty easily. Way too easily, in fact. And even now, the situation hasn't exactly gotten a lot easier, with its well-established rivals still alive and kicking, all of which come with some legacy in India. So in a sea of such well-rounded and competent options, who is the Volkswagen Passat for?
The Passat's design is indicative of who it's for. If the words Ed and Hardy mean something to you, it's not the car you're buying. The styling screams, well, nothing. It's straightforward, clean, and big. Yes, the length is 94mm short of the Skoda Superb, its platform partner, while the wheelbase is 55mm lesser too. In fact, it's 2mm shorter in length than its predecessor, but the wheelbase is a full 74mm greater. The car's grown where it matters, and the Passat still has the size quotient going for it. The frameless 3-slat grille blends into the full LED headlamps with no drama, and while you do get big 17-inch wheels, the design draws no superlatives. The swooping roof and tornado shoulder line add a sporty touch, but only just. At the rear too, it looks evolutionary.
And these are the color options that you get. It's pretty obvious that there's no punch or flash to the Passat's design, but that's exactly the point. It's a similar kind of flavor on the inside too. There's no white or beige over here. You've got an all-black interior layout, and while that's traditionally for giving a car a sporty nature, it's for keeping the cabin understated in the Passat. You've also got a nice old-school touch like this, the analog central clock, along with these classy ornamental wooden inserts. And of course, the quality is still typical Volkswagen, so no complaints over there. Criticisms, well, even with all of its differentiation, there are certain bits that are familiar with Volkswagen's more affordable cars.
Some bits, like the instrument cluster design, the layout for the controls on the center console, and the steering wheel are typical of VWs or even Skodas for that matter. On the flip side, it also borrows the new age Audi-style AC vent design, where the functional and 4 vents come together to add a sense of continuity and width to the dashboard. The tech package is extensive too, beginning with the massage seat, which can be both a blessing and a curse. More on that later. The sunroof, 3-zone climate control, hands-free park assist, and a touchscreen infotainment system with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and quite an effective 360-degree camera. Practicality is a strong point too, and the boot swallowed the luggage of our 4-man crew, including all our camera equipment, with ease. The on-paper figure isn't exactly exceptional, considering there are entry-level sedans that aren't too far behind. But honestly, no reason for complaint either. Importantly, you also get a proper alloy spare wheel, which unfortunately isn't an obvious inclusion in many luxury cars. What is obvious though is that safety is guaranteed with 9 airbags and a long list of life-saving acronyms.
Okay, I might seem a little bit too relaxed, maybe a tad sleepy too when I'm talking to you about the drive bit of the Passat, and I completely blame the car for this. And there's 2 reasons for that. Number 1, adaptive suspension. Yes, the Passat has it, and what Volkswagen calls it is dynamic chassis control. How you can use it is you got 3 modes: comfort, normal, and sport. And when this thing is set to comfort, the way it deals with every road imperfection, every undulation, every rough patch, it beggars belief. It's just so smooth, and it does it all without the side effect of the ride getting too wallowy or too bouncy. Reason number 2, the seat massager. And when I say seat, I do mean seat, because it's only on the driver's seat. Yes, the Passat is a car for the chauffeur-driven, but if you are looking to go out on a long-distance cruise like the one we are on right now, I cannot explain enough how much of a benefit this massage seat is. And it just makes the Passat that much more appealing as a driver's car too. Now when I say driver's car, I don't mean a driver's car in the traditional sense. What the Passat is one of the best highway cruisers I've driven in a very long time. So comfort aside, a lot of credit for that goes to this engine. Now this engine isn't something that's unfamiliar, and as the on-paper numbers would suggest, it's not something about explosive performance. What it is about is giving you a nice, creamy and smooth spread of torque. What that translates into is great drivability. So yes, you've got an ample amount of torque when you're driving in the city to amble about smoothly without having to push the pedal too much. But importantly, when you're out on the highway, that torque spread ensures that you can manage triple-digit speeds with the tacho barely taking over. It simply shows no signs of strain, even when you're well above 100 kilometers an hour. And that's not all. You've also got an ample power reserve at your disposal for when you have to make those really high-speed overtakes. It's not something that's going to be a blink of an eye affair. You do have to plan them sometimes. Nor is it a situation where you push the pedal down and you're wondering if you're going to make it or not. It's just the right amount. It's Goldilocks at the third bowl of porridge. And a big cherry on top would have to be the 6-speed DSG transmission. It's predictable. It's responsive, backed up by the paddle shifters on the steering wheel, but most importantly, it's smooth and seamless in the way it changes gears. So whether you're going at low speeds or pushing it hard, it never gets uncomfortable.
The Passat is also a decent handler. We didn't really get any corners on our drive from Udaipur to Jaipur, but in the few curves we encountered, the car was poised, didn't quite feel its size, and the steering was responsive too.
But all said and done, with all this responsiveness, performance, smoothness, it's not something that's too relevant for me, the driver. What it matters to more, or rather who it matters to more, is my boss, who's in the back.
I'm going to have to agree with everything Tushar said, and in fact it feels all the more amplified when you spend time in the backseat. And in fact the Passat seems to be taking good care of its occupants at the rear as well. For instance, you've got sunblinds here for the doors and an automated sunblind at the back as well, and you have aircon controls dedicated for the rear seat passengers too. One thing I love is that, we are hunting for USB ports everywhere we sit nowadays. The Passat, it's got a regular plug point, 2-pin plug point for 230 volts. Seems archaic? No man, it juices up your phone real fast. You can use your normal charger on it. Works really well. You could even plug in your laptop and work. Well, it's the sense of space. I'm clearly not lacking for outright space here. I'm 5'6" and I've got ample of knee room, headroom is decent, but it just doesn't feel like a very spacious cabin. That low roofline just takes away from that airiness. And well, its rival in the segment does have a bit of an advantage on that front, and we can't help comparing it to that. The seats also do the trick for me. It's a little bit upright, the cushioning is a little bit on the firmer side, which work really well for long distances. 2 passengers in the back would do just fine. If you decide to squeeze in a third, keep in mind that this back support will feel quite firm and it sticks out at the bottom as well. And if you choose not to have a middle passenger, you get a nice, generous armrest.
So let's get back to the original question. Who is the Volkswagen Passat for? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's for the person who has German big badge money, but wants something that will stay under the radar. It's also for the buyer who wants a car with the latest technologies, but prefers it packaged in something with old school charm. And finally, it's for the buyer who wants all the cars that the Skoda Superb is in a slightly more mature package and considers the, moderately reduced practicality as a fair trade-off for that badge.